Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It is indeed my honor to be able to present this award. The award goes, as you know, to Stephen Groft, Lifetime Achievement Award. This is an individual who is passionate, committed, and indeed a superhero to all of us. Steve has spent his entire professional career serving the underserved. And he and I have intersected like this throughout our lives. We both started out working in the Public Health Service, in the Indian Health Service. Steve then moved to the Food and Drug Administration. And the day that I arrived in the Office of Orphan Products, Steve left. I'm not sure what that means, but seriously, Steve was one of the first people that Marion Finkel, the first director of the Office of Orphan Products, Marion tapped Steve to help her in developing the office. And then Steve left to be director of the Commission on Rare Diseases, which was a congressionally mandated group. Steve did that with extraordinary elegance and competency. And in the process, in a very wise fashion, created his own next job, which was initially acting and then fully director of the Office of Rare Diseases, later the Office of Rare Diseases and Research in the National Institutes of Health. I think most of you know what Steve accomplished there. And his accomplishments are legion. Everything from patient advocacy, which is truly what he does every day of the week, every hour of the day. He unites people, he creates consensus, he creates conviviality, and most of all, he creates hope. Steve is one of those extraordinary people. And he has not only been extraordinary to all of us. Steve has a marvelous family. And before I ask Steve to come up to the stage, I want to ask Jan, his wife, to stand up. Where's Jan? Where are you, Jan? I don't know where you are. Jan is superlative. I don't know whether she's the wind beneath his sails, but she and Steve together have raised 4 wonderful children and a myriad now of grandchildren. And they're both just fine. Steve, there's not many people for whom I would fly out here for an afternoon and then go home at 6 o'clock in the morning. So, Steve Groft, a Lifetime Achievement Award. Please come up.
Hello and good evening. My name is Phil Vickers and I'm the Head of Research and Development at Shire. I'd like to take a moment to congratulate Dr. Steve Groft for his Lifetime Achievement Award at this year's Tribute to Champions of Hope event. Steve is most deserving of this award in recognition of his 30-plus year career where he has made unparalleled contributions to the lives of patients in the rare and genetic disease community.
Steve Groft is the type of person who doesn't take credit for himself. He's an incredible leader, and part of that is because he doesn't seek acclaim or recognition. And everybody recognizes that they can trust him to do the right thing and to advance the field of rare disorders without causing any animosity. And in fact, he brings a lot of people together the way that nobody else really does in this field.
He reminded me of a general that had an army at his disposal, and whatever platoon or unit needed his help at that time, he was willing to go call in the required troops. So because he recognized that we were at a war with Sturge-Weber, which is my particular disease, but he also recognized that we were in a war against rare disease, and that he was the front line for that, and he was always willing to, proverbially take the bullet.
I just remember Steve always being a kind, thoughtful person.
Somebody who is really self-deprecating, who doesn't have ego, who's able to put his own agenda aside and really understand what it is he has to give to the community that comes from his heart, that comes from his soul.
Who would listen to a question, who would give advice, who would give an answer, because he seemed to care.
A man who really loves the people he works with.
He and his staff have done a remarkable job with meager resources over many years in leading a fight when no one would take it on.
Sometimes I would call him up and ask him a question, and completely away from the question that I asked, he would come back on and tell me about a meeting that he had a few days before with the leader of a group that was just starting on a very rare disease, and it's the first time he heard about it. And he would tell me the symptoms of the disease and the political problems that the leader was having and getting more attention and so forth. And he would get so involved with these. He had a passion. It was hard to find people in the government that had an equivalent passion for rare disease issues.
He's dedicated his life, his professional life, and a large part of his personal life to advancing the investigation and treatment of patients who have rare disorders, and he's become an incredible force in the community.
He became so knowledgeable on the subject. You could ask him a question about orphan drugs and he'll dig back to some report he read from the 1970s and he'll be able to tell you.
Steve has impacted the lives of patients in the rare disease community in many ways. Since the introduction of the Orphan Drug Act in the USA, he's made unparalleled contributions to translate that act into meaningful benefit to R&D for the treatment of rare diseases. More recently, he's taken a leading role in implementing disease registries that will provide powerful insights into the nature of rare disease, which can then be translated into new therapies for patients.
He gave us a place where we were, scarred by this battle that each of us waged for our own particular disease, and he taught us how to take those battle scars and turn them into stars that light the sky and the dark nights for everyone at times when you think there's no one there, but you look up and you know all the other rare diseases are there with you and you're not alone.
You've earned this over and over. On behalf of all of us, I know you'll say, but I want you deep down to really appreciate how much we love you and how much we believe that you've given to this community and beyond and for years to come.
I would say congratulations, one of the best pieces of Pennsylvania to come and help the world and make a difference, and your mom and daddy have to be so proud of you, and I'm so grateful to have known you.
Have well-earned retirement, even though I know that you're not thinking of it, but I want to tell Jan, never lose hope. So
I say thank you for the research, the work you're doing. Thanks for all the hope you're bringing. Who can live without you? I ask in all honesty, what would life be without the hope of research? What are we? So I say thank you for the research, for giving it to
So Steve, many congratulations for such a well-deserved award to somebody that's provided so much benefit to patients around the world for so many years. It truly is a pleasure to work with you.
My name is Henry Termeer, and I am so incredibly honored, so incredibly pleased, so incredibly, stay there, Steve. So, this will take a while. So, to have this moment to say two things about Steve. We've heard all these great comments and all can relate to them. But there is something else. Steve is a pioneer. Much of what we are doing, much of what we're trying to create, much of what we are raising money for together is to find ways for us to come up with solutions, many solutions, fragmented solutions. And they come together often through organizations. And there's one organization in this country, in this world, that is truly unique in its enormous ability to get things done. But it is also very, very large. It's, I think, $28–30 billion large each year. Think about it, each year that money is being expended through the NIH on numerous projects, on numerous priorities, on numerous institutions, with numerous political interactions. And in that very complex world, this man has created a route, a way to leverage that enormously very important, high-quality, merit-based world is working for us, for rare diseases, to finding a way, not 1 year, but numerous years, and many years to come. This cannot be done from the outside. We can wish it to happen. We can complain about it. We can say, why don't they see? When you're on the outside. That doesn't make it happen. It happens when a champion develops and is born within such an organization. And many years ago, we as a community had the great fortune that Steve Groft became that champion. He had it in his heart. It was his passion. It was what he wanted to do. He could have done numerous other things. But this is what he wanted to do. And he used it. And he became the pioneer for all of us in that vast organization to direct it and shape it in a way that it becomes an effective organization. Increasingly more effective because indeed the momentum around our cause is enormous. Is real. It is a big responsibility for all of us to utilize that momentum. And we owe in tremendous thanks of gratitude to what Steve Groft has been able to create. This was a lifetime achievement at an enormously high level. So Steve, I'm very, very proud to present this to you.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Oh, my goodness, man. Who gave you this note? Yeah. Oh, he's the man. Thank you. Do I get this? What do I do with it? Oh, wow. And that wasn't the hard part of the evening, believe me. Wow, thank you. I have notes. I was on the flight out. I was doing so many other things at work. I just didn't. I started thinking about it, of course, when Nicole called. I was sitting down when I got. David Eckstein from our office said, Steve, came into my office and said, did you open your emails yet today? And of course, 20 things to do before you get to the emails. And so I didn't. He said, well, you better sit down. And so I opened it up and I just about dropped. So after about 5 minutes of thinking about it, I thought, oh my goodness, this is phenomenal. Especially to be to receive an award named after Henry Termeer. Henry, I don't know. I hope the world has thanked you sufficiently. I know they never can for what you did at Genzyme and taking products for rare diseases. And you had become the leader for so many other organizations in the biotechnology field to say this is the way to do it, following Genzyme's technique and methods to move products out of research into development and then to the patients. I think Henry and Genzyme probably one of the first groups really to understand the globalization of rare diseases and that we needed to penetrate the entire world, not just parts of the United States or parts of Europe, but the world. And as we go on more and more, we see this, that it is a world that we have to serve. Nicole, thank you. Where are you? Hiding back there too. We should be together hiding. Thank you for what you have brought together the last 3 years. I've seen you grow and the organization grow. And this has been phenomenal tonight. The whole weekend has been phenomenal. Those of you who weren't at the patient summit yesterday, I can't tell you the energy that was coming out of the individuals. How many were there yesterday during the summit? A lot. Okay, great. Yes, outstanding, wasn't it? I mean, I think we let off with the patients, and the question was related to how do you take care of yourself, and how do you make it better? And we, all of a sudden, it was like a jet engine coming over the entire room as people turned to each other. They were given the task of just talking with one person or two people. And all the noise that came about, it was like for the first time, somebody asked the patients and the caregivers, what are you doing to really take care of yourself? And the release was just so tremendous. I think that's when you know what so many of us are trying to do as we continue to work in the rare disease area. You heard from Dr. Francis Collins, and I really do want to thank Francis and my current director at NCATS, the National Center for Advancing Translational Sciences, Chris Austin, who was actually, I guess, one of the awardees with Scott and the Learning Collaborative. Chris has been a leader in translational research, translational medicine, and we're going to see more and more things coming out of that as we move forward. And I think to Francis and all the previous NIH directors had given me and the office the opportunity just to do the things that we felt needed to be done. And those things were as a result of listening to the patients, the researchers, the industry, and the advocacy groups as we went along, in addition to the medical and professional specialists who we dealt with on a regular basis. There are so many needs in the rare diseases community, it's hard to place them all together and to work on all of them at one time, but we tried. And we've had some really, really nice successes. We're not finished yet. We'll never be finished. But I think we're making some great progress. Before I forget, I do have to thank as Marlene mentioned, my wife, Jan. She's the one who puts up with my really unbelievable sleep habits, whatever they might be, or they're not habits. And so thank you for these wonderful years. It's been great. I think we tried to build a community, rare diseases community around the patient advocacy groups. One of the slides I frequently use is right in the middle of this whole slide is the patient advocacy groups, and we have them linking out to the industry, to the NIH intramural program, the extramural research program directors, the academic research community, the FDA, the regulatory folks, the media, the folks who are responsible for reimbursement, and everyone. And at the heart of all this, really, it's the patient advocacy groups, the patients who are moving what we need And then that is that continued emphasis. We would never be here, I think, as Abby mentioned, things that happened in the 1970s and 1980s really were based on the patient efforts to get the Orphan Drug Act to bring that emphasis. And everything we've done since then, the patient advocacy groups have been the leaders. And so I thank them. I think we all are. They've been really the leaders of the partnerships, forming the partnerships and collaborations that are so desperately needed for the rare diseases. Despite all of these remarkable accomplishments, and I think some of the other recipients tonight, John Kerry, I don't know if people really understand what a great clinician and diagnostician and geneticist he is. He's just an outstanding individual. Josh Summer and what he's done with Chordoma, it is amazing. And we find so many leaders of the patient advocacy groups are those leaders that make things happen and generate the advances that we're looking at. It is phenomenal. Rick, and your photography skills, it's amazing. It's phenomenal. The positive feelings that you bring into people's lives by reflecting who we are and what we are, you capture it in those pictures, in those photos. And I love to take pictures myself. Jan and the kids say, "Dad, you spend too much time focusing," I don't know any other shutterbug people that just take all, okay, you got to get things right. But Rick, it's unbelievable what you do and how you make people feel. It's phenomenal. So thank you. It makes a tremendous difference. So we're getting there. We're not there. I think you heard so much about undiagnosed diseases. We need to find better ways of speedier diagnosis. And I think what we're going to be looking at as we get into more and more of the whole genome sequencing, the whole exome sequencing, next generation sequencing, all of these different things that you hear, and we've become more familiar with the molecular diagnosticians who will be looking at this data and interpreting the data. And as we begin to use larger data sets that we can make comparisons and come up with a diagnosis with some confidence that this is really the disease that we're looking at, not just based entirely on symptoms. But I think the difference that we'll be looking at in mutations and other parts of the diseases, we're going to have to map it all back to the phenotype. Well, what does the disease look like, and what do these differences really mean? So it's coming, and it will happen. It's going to happen, I think, much more quickly than most people realize. The capabilities brought about by technology and science, the bioinformatics, it's going to be amazing. I think as we look forward to the hope that we're looking for coming out of the research in regenerative medicine and gene therapy, cell therapy, drug repurposing, talking about tissue on a chip, how to screen products, both for safety and trying to determine the efficacy, things that we really are looking forward to the future in many respects. So just in concluding, I think everything really continues to be sharing, caring for what we're doing, the collaborations, responding to the calls of help from our friends, the families that we work with and that we hear from. As I mentioned, the needs are so unbelievable that we have to try to figure out some way to become much more responsive more quickly to those needs in all aspects of our lives. And I think that's what many of us have tried to do. I wish I was about 20 years or 25 years younger, that we could continue to work on these things. I haven't retired yet, as some people suggest, as Francis. I've talked to Francis for about 10 years, I think, 10, 11 years. Geez, Francis, I don't know if I can keep doing this, and just keep going. And I don't know why they ignore this, But I've said all along, it's the energy that's brought forth by the patients and the families and the needs to really help everyone move things forward, the researchers. And I've been so fortunate, as Karen mentioned there, this guy from Pennsylvania, this little town called McSherrystown in Pennsylvania. Anybody from South Central Pennsylvania here? Who? Where? Okay, I'll talk to you later. Growing up in a very small town in Pennsylvania, you never had a dream of being able to do something like this, to be able to work in this area and try to help so many people. The wildest dream come true. In fact, you can never dream it because it's impossible. And thank you. As much as it's been a hope for me that we could deliver treatments, we've seen them. Marlene and her work there at the FDA, at the Orphan Products Office, and how much things have changed there at the FDA that she has brought about and initiated. We see that hope is on the horizon, and we can get to those treatments if we really do keep working together, and even greater public-private partnerships that we all see as very, very necessary. There just is not enough money to keep doing things one by one by one. So we're looking for the platforms. We're looking for all the treatments that may result from looking at this a little bit more systematically, and I think we'll be able to do so. So, geez, Global Genes Rare Project, thank you so much. And Nicole, thank you very much. This has been an unbelievable honor, and thank you. And